Hey there guys, Mike here. Mike's DVDs and Blu-rays collection is back for another episode. Let me fix my mic. Mike's mic. Today guys, exciting. I love this movie. This is another movies I love to rewatch. This time guys, we're going back to the 30s. We're going back to 1932 during the Great Depression. And Warner Brothers, or at the time, aka Vitaphone Corporation. Warner Brothers in the first part of the 30s is just untouchable. I mean, they did so many classic movies in the musical realm, the gangster realm, the dramatics. I mean, they were just turning out some great stuff. They had a studio full of great actors and supporting actors and everything. And this next movie I'm going to talk about is so freaking good. And I just watched it the night before last, and it's still hard hitting. It's something that almost could be done today. I mean, I don't think there's many chain gangs anymore. I mean, there might be a few, maybe in the southern states somewhere or something. But anyways, the movie I'm talking about, this stars Paul Muni. And he was one of the best actors of the 30s. He did so many iconic movies during the 30s. I think by the 40s he was starting to had some competition and everything. But Paul Muni reminds me of John Garfield a lot. I mean, if you watch him and look at him, he kind of reminds me of John Garfield, and the way he acts. His acting style and how he approaches the roles and stuff that he does kind of reminds me of John Garfield. But of course, John Garfield wouldn't come around until about 1938-ish, 37. But anyway, back to Paul Muni, a great actor. I don't want to say he's forgotten about, but he tends to not be mentioned very much. And I don't have a ton of movies featuring him, but he did a lot of like realistic stuff, like Emile Zola, The Life and Times of That. He played a lot of like historical, like biography type movies where he's a famous person, the famous character or whatever. But this movie is nothing like that. This is a movie called I'm a Fugitive from a Chain Gang, and this was just like hardcore in the 30s. I mean, this was just like exposing America to the conditions of a prisoner and stuff, because a lot of people, back then you didn't have the internet, a lot of people didn't have phones, a lot of people probably didn't even have a newspaper half the time. So news was not very fast moving, especially in smaller, the lower part of the country and stuff like that, a lot of rural areas and stuff. But this movie, I mean, because it kind of exposed the whole chain gang stuff and how true it was. It was true, and it went on after this movie. This movie didn't stop anything or anything, but it really just showed the conditions that a prisoner would endure in one of those camps and stuff and everything. And it's really good. It's not hokey or anything for a moment. It's not preachy. It's just kind of in your face. It tells the story, and it's a powerhouse performance by Paul Muni. It's probably one of my favorite performances of his. But anyways, a little bit about this movie. Paul Muni, he comes back from World War I. Very successful. He got some ribbons. He got some stars. He's big time. Good stuff. His name's Johnny. Johnny has come marching home, but there's little fanfare and there's no meaningful work for one war vet, which is true today. That's something that happens to our veterans nowadays. There's only the desperate life of an unjustly convicted fugitive. Twice he is sentenced to a chain gang. Twice he escapes, and they can put his hands and feet in irons, but not his will to be free. Paul Muni gives a jolting, lived-in performance in this powerhouse classic directed by Mervyn LeRoy, who previously 2 years earlier made Little Caesar with Edward G. Robinson. And it's based on a autobiographical writings by chain gang escapee Robert E. Burns. Like many 30s crime sagas, this one thrills with brisk pacing and gritty realities. Yet it also stands apart as a film that made a difference during that time. It ignited protests that led to vital penal reforms. And Burns himself received a commuted sentence, and he would be a fugitive no more. So how he became a fugitive, this is, you want to know this, but I don't want to give away the story. It just has some little things in there that you're not going to expect. But anyways, he comes back from World War I. His, I guess, stepfather, brother. I'm kind of confused about that. He's either a brother or stepfather. But he's a priest, and he talks to his old boss to get him back in this factory doing, I think he was doing like, I don't know if it was paperwork. He was doing something to deal with paperwork and stuff and whatever. And before the war, he was satisfied in that position. He did it. He did good job and everything. But after he returns from the war, he's seen a lot of stuff. He's experienced a lot of new stuff. He's learned a lot of new skills and trades and everything. He's interested in architecture and engineering, building bridges and improving roads and stuff like that. And he has a real passion for it. So he comes back and he kind of disappoints his mother and everybody because he's like, I can't do this. He tries it. He goes back there and he just can't do it. But as he sits at his desk, there's a window and he can see out, and they're building a new bridge, and he's fascinated by it. And that's what kind of keeps him at work at that factory for a little while. He would get in trouble because he would take long lunch breaks because he would go down there and talk to the engineers and watch how they're doing stuff. And, pissed off the boss, and they're just like complaining to his family. And he basically just says, I'm out, peace, I'm out. So, basically, he has a little bit of money. He's just got clothes on his back. He basically takes it out on the road, and he's hopping trains to get around. He works maybe 2-3 weeks to a month in one city. The job finishes, and they don't need him anymore, so he's moved to another city. They kind of show that, where he's kind of zigzagging around the country and stuff. He gets down to Louisiana, and he runs into some problems. He's kind of at a flop house one night, like 2 bits gets you in and everything. He meets this other guy, but he's a criminal. And he's like, hey, you want a hamburger? And he's like, God, I would love to have a hamburger. So they go to this little diner, and, the guy, the cook, the owner's like hooking him up. I mean, they're giving him a free hamburger. He's just pestering him every day to get something free. So he agrees to make 2 hamburgers for them too, and they're going to do it, Anyways, guy's cooking. All of a sudden, he pulls a gun out, and he's like, give me everything in the register. Paul Muni, kind of steps back, and he's like, man, what are you doing? He's kind of like, I don't want no part of this, And, he's already scared of, avoiding cops and avoiding train people that kick people off the train. So he's kind of got that, he's scared. He's kind of tensed up and everything. So basically the guy, like, he's going to shoot him. He takes like $5. And he runs out the door, but the cops, were nearby, and they actually met him outside and shot him and killed him. So, he kind of goes out the back door and comes around. The cops get him. And, he had nothing to do with it. He's just really, honestly, the wrong place at the wrong time. He was thinking about his, being hungry and not having anything. So they arrest him. They railroad him. The judge just throws everything at him, throws him on a chain gang. They didn't care that he's a war hero. They didn't take any of that in consideration. They treated him like trash. And and then he's shipped off to that chain gang, and he learns real quick that this is going to be tough, very tough. So this would be a good movie, kind of. Maybe this would be a good movie to pair up with Cool Hand Luke. You know, it's got the kind of the flip side of chain gangs and stuff. But I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang is a lot rougher than Cool Hand Luke. I mean, just the way they're chained. I mean, they're shackled from their feet. They kind of have to kind of scoot all day, and it shows a guy being released. I think it's played by Alan Jenkins. He's one of my favorite character actors at Warner Brothers during that time, and he gets released from prison. As he's walking out, he's kind of scooting because he's used to having those shackles on his feet and everything. But anyways, long story short, he breaks out, meets up with Alan Jenkins later, and everything. But I'm not going to tell you anything else about it. It's just really, really good. What is it? 92 minutes. Yeah, 92 minutes. It's got a great cast. Glenda Farrell, Helen Venison, Preston Foster, a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's based on a story by Robert Burns, who was the guy and everything, experienced it. But man, this is a great release. I hope they would put this out on Blu-ray. I'm pretty sure it's not on Blu-ray, but man, this is overdue for a spiffy, cleaned up version or something like that. So who knows, with Warner Brothers nowadays, TCM could be on the chopping block, and physical media, you just never know. You just really never know. So when a special edition, if it comes out on Blu-ray, it's a very exciting thing. So there you go. I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So guys, check that out. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you've seen it before. Also, don't forget to subscribe and all that stuff. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And this episode, that is. And that's about it for this Movies I Love to Rewatch. I will see you guys later with another pick, another recommendation. So, later, guys.